Joe, those fight week, you're kind of disappointed you had to wait so long to get a fight. You wanted to fight before this, right?
Yeah, they had a couple fights out there, a couple options, so they all would have been nice. But, we are here. And I ain't gonna lie, I thought Michael Chiesa was gonna pull out the fight like 6 or 7 times. It's like you keep hearing like local reports from back home how his back's been hurting and stuff like that. Then I seen him at the PI, so I was like, they'll take care of him. So he's here. Good news.
I love it.
As long as it doesn't lock up during weight cut, right? We're good to go.
Well, I was going to ask you about, so, you're that anybody, anywhere, anytime kind of guy, but not usually like when you already have a fight booked. So was it really specific to this? I was wondering what the mindset was. Was it specific to this situation that you thought you were going to lose this fight?
I mean, I thought I was going to lose this fight. I had some other things going on back at home I kind of wanted to be available for, you know what I mean? So I was like, if I'm going to lose this one, I want to still make my bankroll before, you know what I mean, Michael Chiesa possibly pulls out. But he's here, so, it's like, and I really liked the Jack fight. It's like the Jack fight made great sense to me. It's like styles make fights, and I like the way Jack boxes, and it's like, to go out there and experience some of Jack's boxing would have been nice. I guarantee you Jack would have shot for a takedown. If he didn't, I would, but, shit, it was all going to be fun.
Well, said you get Michael Chiesa as well, and I was going to ask you about styles. This doesn't necessarily seem to be the kind of style you most enjoy competing against.
No, not at all, right? So he made a report yesterday on one of the things. They said that he wants to sub me easily, and it's like, bro, I don't want to be subbed at all, so I damn sure hope you don't sub me easily. You know what I mean? So, it'll be a really, really good, fun night, Michael Chiesa has some really cool tricks as far as grappling goes, so I'm curious to go out there and see how having a wrestling coach full-time matches up against those grappling tricks that he has.
Well, I know you're a company guy, but do you ever go to the matchmakers and be like, come on, man, you know what kind of fighter I am. Like, give me somebody I can put on the show.
I asked for this one. You know what I mean? It's like when Jingling fell out and I was fighting Ponzi, it's like I had Eric Sands with me, and I had, it's like I was feeling back comfortable again with the wrestling. It's like, remind you when I lost to Brunson and Marvin, I went and worked on it tremendously, and then I took a little bit of a break, and then you come back, and then Chimaev does me the way he does me. I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have took a break on wrestling. Granted, I was getting ready for D-Rod, so I was like, I don't have to wrestle with this fucking camp. You know what I mean? I'll do a little jiu-jitsu, it'll be all right. Then you get Chimaev, the guy's is a stud. He's very fast, when it comes to wrestling. So I realized, I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand positions a little bit more, but he's fast, so you got to be able to understand these positions at a higher pace, and so I think Chiesa's a really good fight. That's why I asked for it, because, it's like I get to work on my wrestling inside the cage, but at a slower pace. It's like I get to do what I was supposed to do against Brunson, but I do it against Chiesa, and he's not as strong as Brunson. At least I don't think so. So it'll be good. It'll be fun.
That's interesting in a lot of ways. Do you kind of hope you get to show those skills? Like, I'm sure
we're going to grapple. We're going to grapple. I mean, am I going to KO him? I mean, absolutely. But, I mean, to think that he's not going to grab me before I KO him, I'd be fucking ridiculous. Unless I have one of those fucking Derrick Lewis, Curtis Blades moment. Wow! You know what I mean? He's okay. Yeah, it'll be pretty cool.
Last thing for me, I mean, you win here. He's 12 in the rankings right now, right? Do you start talking about and thinking about rankings and all his positioning again?
No. I go and find the worst guy that won a contender fight, and I fight him. It's like the job is to keep getting paid. The job's not to climb the ranking as fast as you can. Look, I said I want to work on my wrestling in the cage against Michael Chiesa. I didn't say that my wrestling was good enough to beat Colby Covington. You know what I mean? It's like now, me and Colby Covington get in there, I still believe I'll knock him the fuck out. But, he starts sniffing my dick, and it might be like that for 25 minutes, So that's just the way it goes.
Kevin, right here. Given that Mike is around the PI often, and he is like a broadcaster and an analyst now, do you have any sort of relationship with him at all? Or is it just strictly like
I've seen him. I've seen him several times. It's like I really didn't like the guy at first, but then he took the fight. And when he took the fight, I was like, okay, it's like, it's not that I don't like you. It's just I think I just wanted to fight you, So it's like now I'm happy that he took the fight, and I'm very happy that we're gonna get the fight. So it's like when I see him, it's nothing but love and respect. This week it's really it's fuck you, it's fuck me, it's fuck you. So it's like it's fuck everybody, but it's like nothing but love for the guy. I think he does a good job with his commentating and his working behind the scenes. But he's been away from the game for a while, and it's like, and he's coming back to a very active and attractive fighter, if you know what I mean. So it's gonna be a good one.
It was just a professional grudge, not anything personal?
Nothing personal whatsoever. It's like, if you think about it, it's almost like we did an NBA draft, right? We did a UFC draft pick, right? And it's like, they got Juliana Miller, right? An Ultimate Fighter winner, it looks good. We got Terrence McKinney, and it's like, I like the trade, and the trade works really good for me for this fight. The trade, I don't know if it works good for them, it's like, but shout out to my Eskimo brothers. Let's keep it going.
Can I ask you your opinion on, I don't know if you saw, but Ian Gary was walking around with Jeff Neal's mugshot on
Yeah, I did a whole live feed about that shit. I mean, it's like, it's like, that's between that man and that man, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's like if I had to pick sides, I would say, you know, Geoff Neal's more on the right side. You know, it's like I'm a father, Ian's a father. As you get older, somebody, you know, what's a good word? Practorize, however you say that shit. Somebody fucks with your kid like that, you're going to be pissed, right? So you just got to think about it in that aspect. You know, it's like I fuck with people all the time. You know, it's like I'm not walking around with your old lady bent over on my shirt, and I'm not walking around with a mug shot on my shirt. You know, Buckley goes too far. Ian's a very good entertainer, but that was a little, you know, a little borderline. I don't think it was too far, but it was a little borderline. But at the end of the day, it's like it's the fight game. People are gonna talk shit. People are gonna do dumb things, and you just ultimately got to deal with it.
And last one for me. What are your thoughts on the main event between Dustin and Justin?
It's a cool fight. You know, it brings a lot of followers, and you know, I think that's what it says. You know, bring more followers. That's the name of that BMF belt.
I was going to ask you about the BMF belt. Is it one thing that you've ever been interested in? I think you're a guy who fights regularly, often, anyone.
Bro, I might get in trouble, but I bought a whole BMF ring. I just made my own ring. Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? It's like, obviously, I'm not going to get the belt. They dropped it down to 55. I ain't cutting that weight. So it's like, the people speak loud. You know, the people love me. You know, it's like when they drop it, you know, it's like I don't ask to be tagged. The people tag me, and you know, they think I'm BMF. You know, it's like George had it, and you know, it's like he talked all that shit about how we were gonna scrap. You know what I mean? And it's like I got one more, and it's for you. It's like I got a whole DM full of this bullshit. You know, it's like, but ultimately you retired, and then you blessed your homeboy with the belt. And nothing wrong with that. I would have did it for my homeboy too. So fuck it. You know, it is what it is. So I got a ring. The ring's nice as fuck.
When do we get to see the ring?
Shit, I'll probably wear it tomorrow.
Okay.
Just so I can get in trouble. It's pretty close.
Who are your top 3 BMFs in the UFC?
Top 3 BMFs in the UFC are not in the UFC, so it would have to be the top 3 is just it's both Diaz brothers, and then it's George. You know, and it's like everybody else in the game. I hate to toot my own horn, but these motherfuckers ain't like me. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you look me up hard enough, you see the track record. So it's like, yeah, they're pretty cool inside the cage. They're really, really good guys. I think they're fantastic guys. I don't think there's nothing wrong with these guys at all. I'm not trying to talk shit about them, but you're talking about a bad motherfucker inside, outside the cage. It's like, you go look at George, right? His dad just popped somebody for going inside the house. Bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? You look at Kev stopping sushi shootings, motherfuckers getting popped. I'm on 7th Street doing crazy shit. I'm all over Houston doing crazy. Bad motherfucker. But I mean, it's like, and if I start a charity drive, it's probably gonna be because I was trying to cover up some shit. You get what I'm saying? It's not gonna be because I'm trying to help some people. But that's just who I am.
Hey Kevin, what do you think of Jack's fight with Bassel?
Who?
Jack Del Madeleine's fight with Bassel.
His last fight? What do I think about Jack's last fight? Yeah, you start naming people. I don't keep up with their names. I'm not good. You know, I can hardly remember the girls I'm talking to's names. You know, it's like give them nicknames. It works better for you. You know, don't get caught up. You know, styles make fights. Maybe a lot more people are going to be trying to wrestle Jack now. I think ultimately Jack just kept going for the guillotine. I kind of had him down on the scorecards, but it could have been a draw. You know, it's like that last round could have been like a 10-8. You know, it's like overall good fight though. Good fight. You know, it's a good fight.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
That's a wrap. All right, appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
liberals that doesn't like trash in our ecosystem.
I'll have to go the extra step to make sure it's thrown away.
I gotta put this mic on? Just hit there. All right, cool.
Well, our schedule today said Bobby Green on it. Do we need to make the correction that it's King and make that change official?
Yeah, it is what it is. Oh, shit. My bad. It is what it is, bro. Some people call me Bobby. Some niggas call me King. It is what it is. If you respect me, call me King. If not, it is what it is.
All right, well,
but I don't care. I'm not tripping too much. I know so many people, like my friends and everybody's like, hey, like, that's what you built this whole time. You're Bobby Green. Everybody calls you Bobby Green, And it's just like, I really don't give a fuck what you call me. Keep it real.
All right, we'll go with King. I know in April you were not happy. Were you able to move past that at all, or is that one still burn and sting a little bit?
No. You wake up the next day, that shit's over, I don't dwell in the past. I'm not that guy. Never paid attention to the old stuff, Whatever happens in the past happens in the past. I told them that day, bro. I was like, I was already hot. I could, once I found out I'm not getting my money and whatnot, and she's like, let's go for an interview. I was like, this is not a good idea. This is not a good look. Are you sure? She was like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'm going to talk that shit. I told her. And I just lost it on stage and ran out, you know what I mean? Like a mad-ass kid.
Well, I don't want to stir up those feelings again, I guess, but were you a little disappointed that fight didn't get rebooked and that he had taken another fight before a rematch with you?
It is what it is, It is what it is. I can't make him do what. And be honest, he knew what time it was. I wouldn't expect him to. He knew what time it was. Once I started figuring out his timing, like Jared has some weird things he does. Once I figured it out, okay, that's how you do that little left hook he has. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I started slipping and making a miss. Oh, it's over now. I already had his timing. And so it would just get worse, It was just going to get worse. To be honest, I hit him with like a 2 right before the head collision. I hit him with a 2, and I saw his eyes get big. I was like, uh-oh, I know what that means, So I was trying to go in for the kill. And I used a technique I usually don't ever use. I threw a stupid flying elbow, like trying to come in with this elbow. But since I hadn't used the technique before and hadn't been comfortable with it, I ducked my head, not looking. And I didn't see he slid his head over, And so guys were saying I was dirty and all that, blah, 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 and bullshit. But it is what it is.
Would end up being, I think, maybe even a bigger opportunity instead, right? I mean, a former interim champ, pay-per-view. Talk to me what you thought when this was the opportunity that was presented to you.
Yeah, I got a bigger name. I'm excited about that, to be on a bigger stage. Finally in front of a crowd. I'm tired of fighting in the Apex, so I can really get this crowd moving, get behind me. I know Tony's a big guy, everybody I talk to, it's my favorite fighter, So it's dope to get that, and now I get to kind of win the crowd over even more, and show them my skills and why they should love me a little bit more than him.
Yeah. On paper, I mean, it looks like given your styles, the way they match up, it seems like it's going to be a pretty exciting matchup. Is that what you're anticipating as well?
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's going to be a dope-ass fight. I think it's one for the people, This one's for the people.
Nice. Last thing for me, I think this is a big one. Like you said, it would elevate your platform even more. Where do you go from here? I mean, do you worry about rankings? Are you chasing that title, or is it more about, hey, let's put on these entertaining fights, let's put on this show, let's build, that catalog that people are looking forward to?
For me, it's all about dollar signs, I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't care about cameras. I don't care about the clout. I know the new days people are all about interviews and getting seen, and I really don't care about none of this. I wouldn't do none of this if I didn't have to, It's just about getting that check and making sure my goals were accomplished. I got goals to be debt-free, to not know anybody, any money, no tax people coming after me, no bill collectors. My houses are paid, and leave me alone. I can take care of my family with a few $100,000. I'm okay. I'm not a prideful man, or I need a bunch, or I need a lot of this. Just a little bit to get by.
What about the jewelry man, though? He probably some big bills there.
See, the jewelry, it came with the hood, I'm from the hood, and this was what the first thing I saw my big cousin wear, and it's just like, that's what you made, like you to be the man in your city. I've already done that, so it's like, all right, now from there on, all I need to do is take care of my family.
Bobby, the front right here. In terms of the actual fight, what are you expecting from Tony inside the octagon?
What am I expecting from Tony? You know how weird Tony is? If you think you're going to expect anything, you might be wrong, So I'm not expecting anything. Okay, I'm not expecting anything. It's gonna go how it's gonna go. You know, especially with guys with weird styles like Tony. You don't know what's about to happen, so you expect this and you get this. You're off. I play and I'm living in the time where it is. I'm living in it. You know. Live in the moment, guys. Don't be worried about the next day, that day. Live in the moment. I'm going to be in there and just so into it that whatever happens is whatever happens.
So when he fought Justin Gaethje, he was pretending to throw sand at Justin. Like
I saw that.
So
at
like,
least.
does that get you excited knowing that like all this weird stuff is going to happen in there too with him?
I don't know what am I going to do if he do some shit like that to me. I don't know if I start laughing my ass off in the middle of the cage. Like, what are you doing, bro? Or if I just punch him in the face. I have no idea. It's going to be dope, though. You got to watch it.
And last one for me. What are your thoughts on the main event between Justin and Dustin for the BMF belt?
Man, I thought it was dope. They're both earned the opportunity, you know. I'm a big Dustin fan. I'm a big Gaethje fan. I love both the guys. Gaethje sends me gloves, you know, the Onyx. So I'm always like, man, I need a pair of gloves. He sends and takes care of me. I love that guy. You know, he's been fucking cool as shit every time I met him. Dustin, cool as a fan, chill guy, and I fucking fought him. So you have to respect every person you share the cage with, you know. So I think it's dope for both the guys.
Do you think the UFC should use the Onyx gloves? A lot of people think that those are the best gloves out there.
Be honest, I haven't got the MMA gloves. I haven't got them. I'm going to tell them to shoot them to me. I haven't used those yet, and I do need some MMA gloves. But, yeah, that's what I hear a lot of people saying. Let me check them out, though. I haven't got the – I love the boxing gloves. The boxing gloves are the best ones I've ever seen.
Hey, Bobby. One of your guys, Nate Diaz, is fighting next week against Jake Paul. How do you think he does?
I'm going with my guy, Nate. You know what I'm saying? That's my dog. You know, we came in here, and I love what he's doing, you know, in terms of – I've been wanting to fight Jake Paul. Somebody to shut the guy up, you know. I'm just under contract, and I can't get him, you know. But I'm glad that Nate's the guy to go out there and do it, you know. If anybody could do it, it'd be Nate, you know. I've been boxing with him, and I'm telling you this, the longer the rounds go, the harder it's going to get, you know. Jake can start out hot. He lets it go anywhere past round one, he's going to have a lot of trouble.
Do you think the size advantage is going to be something?
Man, of course. But I think that's them in the way they play the game. It's how do I say it? It's these little intangibles, you know, that's always gonna favor them. And that's what he did with every fight he's fought. And it's a little bit that you don't realize, like it's a rehydration clause. It's this, you know, it's that. They do these little things. I'm the bigger fighter. I'm this. They want the advantage, but they make it seem like it's an even fight. It's really not, you know. But that's what they got to do to get them even into a fight. You know, they don't want to come straight, we weigh the same, we do this, you know. They want to go fight on a smaller guy and pick on this and that. He's not challenging an 85er, you know. He's talking about 70 guys who fight at 170. They're not 85ers. It's totally different.
Bobby right here. Tony's lost 5 in a row coming into this, but you look at the names on paper, you know, Nate Diaz, Michael Chandler, Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje. Doesn't get better than that. So how do you kind of assess him? Like, it looks bad on paper, but do you think the criticism maybe around the state of his career right now is unfair?
Man, yeah. When you're fighting those top dogs like that, they're all killers that you all just named out. And so a lot of people will say that like, oh, well, he's coming off 5 losses. Those are to the world's best. You know, we're talking about the world's best. And you'll never want to take him lightly, you know. People are like, oh, he's done. Like, no, you just – it's the way the chips fail where, some guys are going to fight a tough road. Some guys are going to fight an easy road, you know. And Tony's fought the tough road, and that's what you get to see from it.
So when you have done your prep for this fight, like, I don't know if you do a lot of tape studies, stuff like that, what fights do you watch to kind of get ready for what you expect out of him?
I really let my coaches do all the watching. I've been tuning in a little bit and watching his tendencies and blah, blah, blah. But again, like, every fight was different, you know. Some were on the ground, more based. Some were on feet, you know. And so there's no telling where we're going to be. We just need to be more aware of his habits and what he does every fight, you know.
Bobby over here. I'm just curious how you feel about kind of the concept of the BMF fight in general. Like, do you think it's a cool idea? Some guys have said, like, it feels a little gimmicky. Like, how do you feel about it?
I think it's dope. You know, because it separates the real from the fake. And guys, that's why guys call it cringy, because those are usually guys who call it cringy, be it a fake. You know what I mean? And what I mean by the real and the fake is that guys who come to fight, and that's what we get known as BMFs, because we have this certain stigma that comes with us. Now, the other guys, on the other hand, those are guys who want to do a match, I would call it. I wouldn't even call it a fight. I would call it a match. And they're doing a jiu-jitsu match. They're doing a wrestling match, you know? And so there's two different sides on which side of the fence you're on. You guys are coming here, are you coming here to pump the fans up and show them an actual fight, or are you just trying to get a W on your list?
If it became a thing where it wasn't just one BMF belt, if like it became a thing where it could be contested in multiple divisions among, you know, different guys, who are some of the guys who you would choose to be, you know, up for that theoretical BMF title?
You mean like you want me to go in each weight class? Or
You don't need to go each one. Just like which guys come to mind as like, that guy's a BMF, that guy's a BMF.
Man, there's a lot of BMFs out there, bro. Like, and then we got a lot of them on our stage already, but there's just a few missing, you know? Like, I'm gonna keep it real. Adesanya's a BMF, you know? Adesanya, Jamal Hill. Those are BMF guys who were bad. Came up the show, come to fight. Whenever the fight pops up, they're ready to go, you know? Go out there and bang and show you a great fight. There's a few more, and I know I'm missing a bunch of names, you know? But, yeah, it's a lot of guys that are out there doing their thing.
Bobby, right over here. So currently you're the largest betting favorite on this card, and kind of following up what Mike was talking about, given Tony's strength of schedule over the last 12 years in his UFC career, does it kind of surprise you that you're that heavy of a favorite coming into this one?
I don't really pay attention to all that stuff. Like, I'm a Christian, brother, so I don't really believe in gambling and stuff, and so I really don't pay attention much to those things. And be honest, I feel like that's bad juju, you know? Like, people would tell me, like, I'm betting on you. I'm like, hey, don't tell me. Like, I don't care about that, you know? Like, I got nothing to do with that. That's your sin. Don't put me in your sin, you know? I'm like, hey, I'm trying to fight, clean a heart. Like, I don't want no drama with nobody. I just want to get out there and scrap and do my thing. I'm not really worried about, you know, I'm trying to stay away from sin and stuff, especially close to my fights. I tell everybody I love them. I don't want to be in no problems, you know? I want to be clear of heart. And when I'm fighting in front of God, you know, he knows that I'm pure of heart. I don't got nothing in here that's holding me back. So, you know, with the betting stuff, bro, leave that over there. Leave that over there.
One more, Bobby. What do you think about Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk? Two rich nerds coming into your sport that, you know, you've had to crawl and claw your way up for many, many years. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's kind of entertaining. The fact that they want to do it, you know, I'll give them the stage to do it on. This is probably the stage to do it. I think it's dope in that aspect, you know. Been having trouble with getting my Twitter back, so I'm kind of like, Zuck, what's going on with that? And then I have trouble getting my Facebook. I got hacked by somebody, so I'm on Mark, like, give me my Facebook back. And so I don't know. I'm kind of mad at both of them for that. Like, man, who I talk to, and it's like it's a whole ball of worms to get your shit back, bro. It's like I got, I don't know what happened, but my Instagram got took for a month. I don't know what happened. I can't figure out, I can't get in it. And it's just like I couldn't promote this fight. Nobody even knew, like, really I could talk to that I was fighting because I couldn't promote the fight as well. And shit happened like that. Now I have to fucking do it for a whole month. I talk to this person, call this, and I'm blowing up people every day to figure out what's going on my Instagram.
Bobby over here, Johnny with iHeartMedia Salt Lake. Given the success of UFC 278, what are your thoughts on fighting in Salt Lake City, and are you prepared for the elevation?
I ain't felt nothing with this elevation. I know a lot of people are talking about the elevation. I got out here thinking like, well, let me go ahead and I got to get out here early for the elevation. I came out a few days earlier. I just ran that first day. I was like, I'm not feeling nothing. I ain't felt like something's changed. And to be honest, I used to train out here in Salt Lake when I was in Strikeforce. Like, I felt like Strikeforce was my coming out party. So this is symbolic for me. Salt Lake means the world to me in terms of giving back. You know, there was a lot of guys that came along the way that helped me. My coach, Jeremy Horn, he has his own training center out here. And so Jeremy gave me so much. He'll be there at the fights, and I'm going to try to honor him and stuff. It's just a way to give back and say, hey, thank you for taking care of this little black kid, you know. He told me so many different things that, like, I don't forget to this day. And I'm like, I'm going to tell him I haven't forgot. So he knows, like, just because I think he thinks I forgot about him. No, I've just been so busy with the life and the career. But this one's for you, buddy, you know. And so it's a gift to Salt Lake and Utah for everything they've done for me.
One more really quick.
Sorry.
Sorry, one more really quick. Have you gotten the chance to talk to Jeremy Horn or train over at his gym in Sandy?
No, I haven't. This one, I haven't. I called him though to let him know, hey, or can you come out? I would love to send you some tickets. Make sure the UFC gets you in. It's a dope part if I can just honor you and give back to all the things you've given to me.
King, we're here, back here. A couple days ago, speaking of Instagram, a couple days ago you put up a post, or I guess someone put up a post on your Instagram, a message saying like to all young boys, don't worry if you never caught a body, you never got a bag in the streets. Did something happen to like bring that up, or is that something you just want to get off your chest?
I've always been that type of dude. You're on you're either on this side of the fence or that side of the fence, on the good or the evil. And you pick, And don't get me wrong, I'm coming from the streets and I got some ways about me sometimes, But I'm on the sports of good. I'm always trying to push, especially the youth, in the right direction. I would never try to tell them to be like me or to do like me, but if you are, be on the side of good, You could, instead of doing drugs or instead of being a gangbanger, I never banged. I never needed that. Like, I've had 100 gangs asked me to go and be a part of that gang because I was in this city or I was in this home. I've been in 50 different homes. So every time I was in somebody's neighborhood and I had to beat somebody up, then it was like, hey, you should join the hood. I'm like, no, I'm cool. I'm off that because I don't need nobody to have my back, And so for me, it was just a way to show dudes. I feel like a lot of people feel like that with these gangs, like oh, they going to jump me, So I need to go get me a gang and have to have my back. I used to go fight with 4 or 5 of them. As soon as I slam one of them on the head, bam. The other 3 look like, do I want to do this shit or not? Never mind. And I get away, Sometimes I had to hit him and then run, and they be chasing me. Now, it's a bigger guy and it's a skinnier guy. Usually the skinnier guy lasts the longest in the run. So then I run, and then the big guy's like, man, fuck him. He give up. It's the skinny guy who's still coming. Now I stop, me and him go toes. I get off on him. I get rid of him, I take off, and then I'll catch the big guy next week, Now it's me and you because they don't want it no more. They know what's happening. They know I'm going to get them. I already got them. Now we can run our one-on-one fade, And that's how it is. I always believed in honor, and if we got an issue, we can solve it one-on-one. All that jumping shit, all that bullshit. You don't need a gang for none of that. You could just be yourself, and so that was what the message was for. Be yourself. Don't. I do this for every young black kid that looks into the story. We got our little white heroes, which are plenty in the UFC. What about the black heroes? And so I'm trying to be the black hero. And if I don't look like I look, and they don't know where I come from unless I got the look and I talk the talk. So this is for every dude in the inner cities, in the hoods that looking the way to get out. And these things got me out, brother. I had little bumps and roads and roadblocks and blah, blah, blah. But this shit got me out. And you could do the same. I tell every dude in the city, or every hood I go to, I'm like, man, what's your toughest dude at? I want to see, hey, get the gloves. I give him the gloves, like, let's go, bing, 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 bing. Okay, you're not bad. Bro, I can teach you this stuff, and you can get out of here. You can get out of here. You can take care of your family. You can be the men in your hood. You can be the men in your city where everybody call you when they got problems. They need you to come and fix this. They need you. And so that's where the whole look was on it. Appreciate you guys.
Gabriel, I know it's been several months now, but I got to ask, the win with your brother, the debut, had to be a life-changing moment. What did that night mean for you?
Já passaram-se alguns meses, mas gostaria de perguntar de qualquer maneira, a vitória no Brasil, tá com o teu irmão, aquele momento todo, como é que foi aquilo? Deve ter sido uma coisa que mudou a tua vida, né?
Ali foi um sonho, né? Estar estreando no maior evento do mundo e ao lado do meu irmão ainda, e ele nocauteando, com um nocaute lindo, e eu finalizando, foi um sonho realizado.
It was a dream. I mean, to be debuting in the greatest event in the world next to my brother, him getting an amazing knockout, and me just, finishing the fight as well. It was a dream come true.
So you guys are on top of the world, and I know you're different fighters, different careers, but he comes back and he suffers a loss, and I wonder if there's lessons that you can take out of that you can apply to this matchup.
E vocês, obviamente, saíram por cima daquele evento, vocês estão no céu, estão nas nuvens, e de repente vocês voltam a lutar, ele volta numa data diferente, tem uma derrota antes da tua luta agora. Que lições que você tira dessa experiência pela qual ele passou para a tua luta agora?
Então a gente vida diferente, a gente trabalha, a gente entrou no maior evento do mundo, igual a gente fala, a gente entrou na Copa do Mundo do MMA, então a gente está lutando com os melhores, e isso acontece na nossa vida, é um caminho que a gente tem essas pedras no caminho, e eu creio que para ele vai voltar muito melhor, eu tenho certeza disso, e para mim é que isso não fez diferença na minha vida nada, porque eu sei que ele vai voltar melhor.
As I said, I mean, being in the best event in the world, we've said this all along that we are in the World Cup of MMA. These is different lives. I mean, what happened to him, first of all, I understand this happens, these roadblocks will happen in your lives, but it doesn't change a thing in my life because I know he's coming back, and he's going to come back better than ever.
Let's talk about your matchup, Trevin Giles. I guess, what do you think he presents to you as an opponent?
Vamos falar um pouco da tua luta agora. Em relação ao Trevin, o que você acha que ele traz para você?
Então, o Trevin, ele é um cara já experiente no UFC, tem uns anos aí no UFC, e é um cara que ele é completo, ele é um cara da trocação, e também tem uma basezinha no chão, mas ele pode esperar que eu vou estar bem, preparado tanto na trocação e tanto no chão.
He's a guy who comes in with experience, some years in the UFC, also a complete athlete, very strong with striking, and I do see he has a base on the ground, but we've trained a lot, and he can be ready for me to be not only ready on the striking, but also on the ground.
I want to ask your mindset, because you have this incredible streak of finishes that is just impossible to match. I mean, what is your mindset when you go in there? Do you go thinking this is going to be a 15-minute fight, or do you go thinking, like, I'm definitely getting out of here in the first round?
Outra coisa que eu gostaria de perguntar, você tem essa finalizações consecutivas e uma atrás da outra, difícil de alguém ter o que você tem. Você entra numa luta pensando assim, cara, vai dar 15 minutos, ou assim, não, isso aqui não vai passar de 15 minutos.
Então, eu já pensei assim antes, mas hoje eu sempre penso que eu quero lutar os 15 minutos. Quero lutar os 3 rounds, se for 3, se for 5. Eu quero lutar todos os minutos, eu treino para isso. Mas sempre ali acontece um imprevisto e eu aproveito disso.
I've thought, like I've had that train of thought in my life before of just going for. I knew that the fight was going to finish early, but now I've changed and I've said, I want to finish. I want to go I can go the distance. I can fight 3 rounds. I can fight 5 rounds. I go with that mindset, but always something happened. Some opportunity. I just took advantage of it, and I finished it.
Last thing for me, you get the win here, a win for yourself, a win for the family. What's next? Do you guys need to get back on the same cards, get back on that same energy, or is it just kind of 2 different paths moving forward?
Minha última pergunta aqui. Você vence agora no sábado. O que vem depois? Vocês gostariam de lutar juntos novamente? Pegar aquela energia um do outro? Ou daqui para frente os caminhos são diferentes?
Então, depois dessa luta, depois que eu vencer, eu quero enfrentar um cara pode ser um cara ranqueado, eu quero dar esse passo e, se puder, lutar em novembro no Brasil, né? Se rolar, e ir junto com meu irmão.
Yeah, I'm winning here. I would like to fight a ranked guy. Like if someone wants to face me, if that's a possibility, I want to fight an opponent like that. And if possible, in November in Brazil with my brother.
In the past, Trevin has said he thinks he has the best jab in the division, so I'm curious what you make of his jab.
No passado, o Trevin falou que ele tem o melhor jab da divisão. Então, o que você acha do jab dele?
Sábado vamos ver qual é o melhor jab e qual é o mais rápido.
Saturday we'll see which one's got the best jab and which one's the quickest.
How's your jab?
E como é que é o teu jab?
O meu jab é rápido e forte.
My jab is quick and strong.
Last one for me. What do you make of the main event between Justin and Dustin? Who do you think wins the BMF title?
E gostaria de saber o que você acha do evento principal entre o Dustin e o Justin. Quem que você acha que vai ser o cara da divisão BMF?
Eu gosto da trocação dos dois, eu gosto do jogo dos dois, mas eu tô apostando no Gaethje.
I like them both. I like both their striking. I like the way that both of them approach the game. But on Saturday, I'm betting on Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, thank you.
Just, I know there's always that kind of excitement level before a fight, but a fight like this with a guy that you've been in there with that you know is going to put you through those car crashes that you're used to, what's the feeling like ahead of that?
Yeah, I feel good, man. It's always nice to be back in the main event under the spotlight. I missed it, so I'm excited to be back here and excited to perform again. It's what I love to do.
Is there any different mindset? Because I'm sure there's certain matchups that you go, I bet I could go dominate that guy. This doesn't look like a fight where either guy's going to be able to dominate, right? Like it's going to be a war, and that's what everybody's excited about. Is that a different feel?
Every fight you prepare for is the reason why we're such big fans of this sport is because it's so anything, anytime. Any shot, one shot's all it takes. And yeah, this guy is dangerous. And usually, I've accepted that this is a 50-50 fight in my mind, and with the with the chance at retribution, it's been driving me every day to work harder.
The BMF title, kind of become a love thing. It's fun. Does it feel like, because you've been in championship matchups, I mean, does it have the same feel as a true championship matchup, or is it just kind of a fun aspect?
I mean, I think this fight gives you that feel without anything on the line. But yeah, I mean, for the legacy, it's huge. We first is championship belts, and second is legacy. That's why we fight. Third might be money, but those first two things are very important. And we're all trying to create a legacy that's going to live on well past our time, and that's been my goal from day one.
I think a lot of people look at it as a 50-50 fight the same way you do. A lot's being made about the elevation, the fact that you train in elevation, live in elevation. Do you feel that matters when you get in there?
I think it's going to help with the confidence a little bit, but at the end of the day, tired is tired, and it's going to suck. And we've both been, preparing mentally to push through that, and that's part of the game.
Last thing for me, I mean, everybody's looking forward to this fight. Every time you get in there, it could be a fight of the year. Are you looking at this also as a #1 contender fight? We know we've got a championship matchup in a few months. I mean, are you thinking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is #2 versus #3. I mean, #1's fighting the champion in October, and then, we're going to fight the winner of that, the winner of this fight.
Justin, earlier this week, Dustin said if this fight goes 25 minutes, you'll both be talking about it in hospital because that's where you'll be. Do you sort of agree with that assessment?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we both created a lot of damage. 25 minutes is a long time to create that damage. So I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment, I would say.
For people who don't understand the elevation, on UFC Embedded, it looked like Dustin only just got here. He didn't come here early to acclimatize. What sort of difference does it make training at elevation for your fight performance?
I think, confidence. Confidence is huge, and, it's just going to give me that confidence. I've been pushing myself, extremely hard at altitude, higher altitudes than this, but tired is tired, and we're going to get really tired.
A lot of people talk, you included, talk about your transition from crazy brawler to more technical striker. Does any part of you wonder, if me and Dustin go in there and it goes crazy, that I'll have to just revert back to that crazy brawler and I still have that in me? Or do you think, no, I have to be more technical to find success?
Yeah, I think I have to be more technical, no matter what. Obviously, I'm willing to, fight fire with fire. That's what we do in this game. But I'm going to try to be as methodical as possible and make no mistakes. At this level, it's mistakes. Take advantage of their mistakes and make no mistakes.
In terms of the BMF title, you two are fighting for the belt. But is there anyone else in the division that you think, hey, that guy, he's a BMF, and I could see myself maybe defending this title against him one day?
Oh shit! I'm not really thinking about anybody else right now.
Well, just kind of going off of that, do you envision that if you do win, that you would defend this belt? Because I know Jorge never really defended. He said that was one of one.
Yeah, I think the aspirations are the championship belt. I think this catapults us right to that, and so I won't be looking to defend that. If I have a choice, it's going to be going for the championship belt.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is your first rematch since the Luis Palomino fight, the second one. In terms of preparation in camp, does anything change when you're preparing for a rematch as opposed to a fresh face?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think, especially with the 5 years in between, we're both completely different people, different fighters. And, with age comes wisdom. I've obviously grown. He's grown. And, there's, I remember he has a really nice left hand. It's a beautiful left hand, so we've been working on that.
And given how after your first fight, he had to do his media scrum sitting down because you beat him up, you had obviously a lot of damage too. When you went to your family and you were like, "I'm fighting Dustin Poirier again," were they just they remembered what happened last time after the fight? Did they?
Yeah, my family is extremely competitive. If we go bowling, we have to take different vehicles because somebody will leave somebody. So they're as excited as I am for a chance to get that fight back.
Then last one for me. It might be a little weird question, but if a little kid comes up to you and asks what the BMF title stands for, do you say it's a bad motherfucker belt, or do you have to kind of change it?
I haven't. Luckily I haven't ran into that situation. So I'm not sure what I would say. I think, I think I would probably describe it as a championship belt to a kid.
Justin, right here. It seems like the plan is to have Jorge Masvidal wrap the belt around the winner here, but he's a teammate of Dustin. He says he thinks Dustin is going to win. Do you even want him to do that if you win this fight?
Yeah, I want to make him do it. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Make the moment sweeter for you.
Yep.
Who do you think?
I know he'll hate it, so I'll love it that much more.
Who do you think wins between Islam and Charles when they fight later this year?
I mean, you'd be a fool to say Charles. You know, we saw the last fight, and so you know, if you're gonna bet money, granted you're not gonna get good odds on that money, but yeah, I would say Islam. I would prefer Charles because I want to get that fight back as well.
Thank you.
Hey Justin, I don't know if you saw this stat, but like it's kind of a wild one. Like since your last fight,
Yeah, the exact same.
yeah, like isn't that just a weird? Like when you
Yeah.
saw that, like did you trip out?
I mean, we both fight the best, you know, and we've both continued to do that. Both continue to prove ourselves, and so I mean, you know, with that loss, the trajectory was different, but ultimately the destination's always the same. We've both been fighting for a championship belt this entire time.
Thanks, man.
Justin Red over here. Last year, you talked about meeting 920 Salt Lake City fans over the course of 3.5 hours outside of the Delta Center, now as the Vivint Arena back then. And so was there any sort of a reaction to the fact that you get to fight in front of a bunch of people who you got to meet last year? And was there any reaction for you to come back here or anything like that?
I mean, these people love fighting. The show last year was fantastic. You know, they showed out. But I'm going to give them a better show than they got last time. You know, me and Dustin, I got the perfect training partner, perfect dance partner. I mean, but I love fighting for people. That's what I'm a performer. I love to show off, and these people are going to appreciate it. So I love that.
Actually, one follow up. Obviously, your former opponent Tony Ferguson's fighting on this fight card. What do you think of his career? Like, obviously, since he fought you, it's been down. But like, do you think like he took so much damage in that fight that it ruined his career?
No, I don't think. For one, I think he's crazy enough for that not even to be a possibility. I think we play a rough game, you know, and it's so unforgiving. You know, I think he won the first round against Michael Chandler. I think he dropped him, and you know, it's just it's a battle of confidence, battle of believing in yourself, and there's no doubt that something like that, you know, takes that away from you, and you have to work hard to get it back. But he's a fighter through and through. You know, I got nothing but respect for him, and I'm just hope that all of us have people that love us enough that are willing to have that conversation, and that he's willing to listen, or I'm willing to listen, or any fighter is willing to listen when that conversation is to be had.
Do you think he's at that point where it's time to hang it up, or?
I mean, we're all on a timeline, you know. There's a beginning and end, you know, and none of us in our mid-30s are towards the beginning. There's no doubt about it.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Marcos, welcome back. A quick turnaround for you, just 3 months to get another fight booked. Was that important to you, and are you excited to be able to do that?
Bem-vindo novamente. São rapidinho, voltou 3 meses, já está voltando. Como é que foi fazer isso de novo?
Pô, para mim é muito bom. Eu sempre quis ter essa sequência de lutas no UFC, estar lutando sempre, porque eu sou um cara que estou sempre treinando. Então, estou muito feliz com a oportunidade e em estar num ritmo de luta muito bom.
For me, very good because I've always wanted to get into that kind of sequence of fights and just always being active. For me, it's very good to be able to actually get that, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity as well.
Is there any different type of preparation when you're getting ready for Derrick Lewis, right? Every heavyweight has knockout power, but he seems to be a little bit more. Is there anything special that you do in preparation?
Tem alguma coisa específica que você tem que fazer para se preparar para um cara como o Derrick Lewis? Obviamente, nos pesados, todo mundo tem a potência de colocar alguém no chão rapidinho, mas ele parece ser um pouquinho mais. Algo específico ou algo especial?
Não, acho que não. O Derrick Lewis é um cara bem explosivo. Não vejo ele com tanta velocidade, entendeu? Acho que eu sou bem mais veloz que ele. Então, a minha característica para essa categoria é muito boa, entendeu? Então, eu vejo mais pontos positivos assim do que negativos. Eu só preciso estar com a defesa rápida ali, olhando bem o que ele está fazendo e atacar com velocidade.
Yeah, he's a very explosive guy. I don't see the quickness as much. I think I'm faster than him. I think I can do more in that sense. I think I can move faster. I think my skill set is really good for this division. All I have to do is be mindful of defense, just be there, look at what's coming, and be on offense fast. And be quick to strike.
A lot of talk about the altitude this week, especially for heavyweights, big heavyweights, right? I believe you fought in Denver before. Did you find it to be a challenge, and has that impacted any way in your preparation here?
Fala-se muito da altitude aqui essa semana, especial o impacto nos pesados. Vocês carregam bastante também. Você já lutou em Denver, se não me engano. Alguma diferença para você? Você sentiu quando você passou por essa experiência?
Eu lutei em Denver. Foi numa situação diferente, porque eu tirava peso, então no começo da luta eu me senti um pouco lento, mas no segundo minuto de luta ali eu já peguei no ritmo e consegui acabar com a luta. Mas agora, como peso pesado, eu trouxe algumas experiências, né, do que aconteceu em Denver, e agora não tendo que tirar peso, tendo apenas que me habituar com o clima, foi muito bom. Eu tive um apoio também, eu ganhei uma cama hiperbárica onde eu estava usando durante o camp, então foi muito bom. Acho que me adaptei muito bem à altitude aqui.
Yeah, I fought in Denver before. I think it was a different time, different situation. I used to cut off a lot of weight. So first round, I felt a little woozy there, but then in the second round, things just got going, and I was able to finish the fight. Took a lot of experiences from Denver, or things that needs to happen. I mean, now it's a completely different time. I'm not cutting much more weight anymore, and also a hyperbaric chamber to work with back in camp, which helped a lot. So I feel very good about it. I was just understanding the surroundings.
Last thing for me, the rankings update saw you added to the rankings, so now it's 2 ranked fighters, maybe a little bit more significance for you in this fight. And if you win, I mean, do you start calling out some guys at the top of the division?
E minha última pergunta, a gente viu você chegando nos rankings agora é uma luta entre 2 ranqueados, depois de uma vitória, começa a chamar o pessoal aí, vou falar alguns nomes de repente?
Com certeza eu sou um cara que estou muito feliz, primeiro, de ter atingido o top 15 da categoria. E eu sou um cara que estudo muito o ranking, estudo muito a posição dos lutadores, quem está com luta, quem não está. Então, com certeza aí, após essa vitória, eu já tenho uma pessoa para eu pedir.
I'm very happy, very happy with the opportunity of actually being in the rankings out there, being in the top 15. I'm a guy who studies a lot of the fighters. I study the rankings a lot. I see actually who's got an opportunity there and who's hot and who's not. And believe me, after a fight, I do have a couple names to talk about.
I'll go right here. What do you make of Derrick Lewis's ability to just stand up when people are trying to grapple him?
O que você tem para dizer sobre essa habilidade do Derrick Lewis de ficar de pé quando as pessoas tentam levar ele para o chão?
Cara, ele é um cara explosivo, é um cara forte, entendeu? E procura usar isso. Na categoria peso pesado, você não vê tanto grapper, né? Não tem específicos grapplers, né? O Curtis Blades, né? O Malhadinho, entendeu? Então, mas a galera, tipo, não tem um grappling muito afiado. Cara, eu vejo meu grappling muito bem, né? Eu tenho treinado com muitos atletas, né? Com grandes nomes, né? Pô, Marcos Bochecha, o Sakai, que sempre está me ajudando, entendeu? Então, eu venho evoluindo bastante nisso e acho que se a luta for para o chão, eu vou conseguir ter um controle bom dele, porque eu sou pesado também, vou conseguir usar o meu peso a meu favor.
We know, again, he's a very explosive fighter, but in heavyweights, you don't see much. I mean, you don't see many, skilled grapplers. You don't see grapplers per se. I mean, you have some people that have the ability, such as Curtis Blades. You see Jailton Almeida, but I trust myself that if I get done, I've been training this a lot, and my grappling has improved a lot. I'm training with Marcus Buchecha, I think with Sakai, that's always supporting me. So I'm confident that if this goes to the ground, I can control him, especially because I'm a heavy guy too, so I can keep him pinned down.
The UFC also announced John Jones is going to fight Stipe for the heavyweight title in November. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that fight?
E também com o John Jones enfrentando o Stipe em novembro. O que você acha? Pensamentos gerais sobre essa luta?
Acho uma ótima luta, né? É a luta que todos querem ver, né? O Joe Jones e o Stipe Miocic. A gente colocou muita expectativa com o Cyril Gane, mas a gente sabe que a maior prova ali é o Stipe Miocic, que é um cara mais completo, é um peso pesado de natureza também, entendeu? Então, eu tô muito empolgado para assistir essa luta e ver o resultado, né? Ver como que vai dar uma bagunçada na categoria.
It is a great fight, a fight that all of us expect. So we had a lot of expectations with Cyril Gane, but the complete MMA true heavyweight fighter there is Stipe Miocic, the complete fighter. So it's going to be a great fight. We're all excited about it. I'm excited to see it. We all want to watch it, and we want a little bit of a mess in this division. It's probably going to mess it up a bit.
Final one for me. What are your thoughts on the main event between Justin and Dustin? Who do you think wins the BMF title?
E a minha última pergunta, o que você acha, Dustin e Justin, o que vai acontecer pelo BMF?
Com toda certeza o cinturão volta para American Top Team. Lá é o lugar dele. Uma luta muito boa, dois caras, né, completos. E na primeira luta ali foi uma luta bem aguerrida no começo. O Dustin começou tipo tomando um pouco de prejuízo, depois ele conseguiu virar a luta. E eu vejo essa luta da mesma forma. A gente fez o camp quase junto, assim, que a gente treina em horários diferentes, mas sempre viu o Dustin treinando lá, tá muito bem.
Of course, surely this belt is coming back to American top team. I think he can take the experience from the first fight. I mean, Poirier started with a little bit. I mean, he was behind a bit, and then he was able to turn things around. And I do see the same thing we see. I mean, we don't train at the same time, but we pretty much started and finished camp almost at the same time period, and Dustin is really looking good right now.
Thank you, guys.
E aí? Tu vai querer fazer em português, inglês? Como é que tá?
Português, não.
Tá certo. Não, você falou com o pessoal da Ásia hoje, não sabia se tinha feito de manhã. Tá bom.
Ainda não dá, não.
Não.
Vamos conversar de boinha.
Michel, welcome back. It's been 14 months. I can see the excitement there. I imagine you're happy to be ready to fight again.
Michel, dá pra ver a alegria na tua cara, a empolgação na tua cara. Fazem 14 meses. Como é que tá a voltar?
Estou muito feliz com essa luta com o Thompson. É uma luta que eu queria. Eu sou muito fã do Thompson e é uma luta que eu sempre planejei. Era essa luta com ele.
I'm very happy with the opportunity to fight Thompson. It's a fight that I've always wanted. I've always gone out for. So I'm very happy with the opportunity to actually fight him.
Given the cancellations and things that you've had, like the delay, the schedule change, did that concern you at all? And was there any thought of putting another fight together?
Cancelamento, atraso, essas coisas que têm acontecido, como é que foi para você esse período? Você acha que foi complicado conseguir casar essa luta? Como é que foi?
Foi um ano muito difícil para mim, porque aconteceram muitas coisas ruins durante esse ano. Atleta se machuca e eu estava sempre pronto. Foi adiado minha luta 4 vezes e eu estava sempre pronto. Então foi como se eu tivesse deixado de fazer 4 lutas.
It was a difficult year for me. I mean, a lot of bad things happen. Athletes getting injured and all kinds of cancellations. My fights have been canceled 4 times. So it's as if I basically had 4 fights that I just didn't put together. I mean, I was there. I mean, I was ready for the fight.
Well, this fight in particular, I mean, stylistically, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. You said it's a fight you've always wanted. Is that why you've always wanted it, because of the way your styles blend together?
E essa luta, em termos de estilo, é o que o pessoal quer. É uma luta que vai ser interessantíssima, todo mundo gosta. É por isso que você falou que você sempre quis lutar contra ele, porque a luta é assim, esteticamente bacana.
Eu gosto muito do estilo do Thompson. É um karateca. Eu também sou um karateca. Então, eu sempre imaginei que eu e ele daria um grande show para todo mundo do UFC e do mundo.
I've always liked his style. He's a karate guy. Me too. Same thing. And I always thought that us having a fight, fighting each other would be a great show for the world.
A lot of people have had success against Wonderboy by not fighting his style. So without giving away your game plan, I'm curious how much discussion maybe you and the coaches had to say, we could just go wrestle the guy and that might be a lot easier.
Teve muita gente que teve sucesso contra o Wonderboy por não lutar no estilo dele. Então, imagino, será que teve alguma conversa entre você e a equipe para decidir, de repente, se eu for fazer um wrestling no cara, se eu lutar contra o cara, levar o cara pro chão, pensaram nisso?
A gente está lutando MMA. Eu sou strike, ele também. Mas a gente tem que lembrar que eu sou lutador de MMA. Não sou muito fã do chão, mas se for preciso eu irei usar. Mas não é o meu foco na luta.
Let's not forget that we're fighting on MMA here. He's a striker. I'm a striker. I'm not that big of a fan of fighting on the ground, but if need be, I'll be ready for the ground game.
Nice. Last thing for me, while we're all excited that it should be a fun fight, it's also very meaningful. I mean, because you've been away, I think maybe people forget this would be 6 wins in a row. You beating number 7 in the division. So, I mean, do you feel like a win here, like now they got to talk about you with those top 5 contenders?
Agora também não somente uma luta empolgante, mas uma luta que seria 6 vitórias seguidas para você e também ganhar do número 7 na divisão, ou seja, muita coisa ao mesmo tempo. Você acha que essa luta já coloca você para o pessoal começar a falar o teu nome lá em cima?
Foi o que eu sempre falei, minha hora vai chegar e eu sei que chegou minha hora. Eu entrando no top 7 ali do ranking, eu vou virar a cabeça da categoria e aí sim eu vou mostrar para o mundo quem onde o Michel Pereira tem que estar, que é entre os melhores.
I've always told people that my time will come, and it's come. So I think that a win against number 7 it will put me where I need to be, which is on top of that division there in the head, and where Michel Pereira needs to be, which is among the best.
Michel, in front, right here. Did you have to bring in anyone specific to train with to prepare for the type of fighter that Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is?
Você teve que trazer alguém para o camp específico para tentar fazer as vezes do Wonderboy? Alguém teve que ser o Wonderboy para trazer o estilo específico dele de luta para você?
Eu trouxe treinadores do Brasil que eu sempre quis trazer para o meu camp e dessa vez eu fiz um investimento maior e trouxe esses treinadores para me preparar melhor. Eu não me preparei especificamente para o Thompson, eu me preparei para lutar como se fosse para lutar com qualquer um.
I brought some coaches from Brazil that I've always wanted to have in my camp, and I decided to make more of an investment in bringing them on board. I did not bring them to train specifically for Thompson. I wanted to be prepared and trained for anything possible.
When Thompson fought Kevin Holland, they had that no takedown rule that they agreed on. I see you smiling right there. Did you ever think of kind of bringing that rule to him too? Like, hey, let's just not shoot for takedowns and let's just strike the whole time?
Quando o Wonderboy lutou contra o Kevin Holland em Orlando, eles tinham aqui um acordo dizendo, pô, ó, ninguém vai pro chão aqui. Tô vendo que você tá rindo um pouquinho sobre essa regra de ninguém vai pro chão. Houve consideração de falar assim, olha, meu camarada, a gente só vai cair na porrada aqui, mas ninguém leva ninguém pro chão. Pensou nisso?
Não, eu e o Thompson ainda não conversamos nada. E como eu falei, a gente tá lutando MMA. Se for preciso eu levar ele pro chão, eu vou levar, mas não é o meu foco. Eu tenho que lembrar que eu tô lutando para me tornar top 7 do ranking. Eu tô lutando, vim para ganhar, vim para mostrar quem é o Michel Pereira e que eu mereço estar entre os melhores da categoria.
No, I have not talked this over with him. And once again, I said this, we are fighting MMA. If I need to take him down to the round, I will. And I'll use the opportunity. Once again, it is not my focus. I came here to win. I came to be number 7 and to show people where Michel Pereira needs to be, which is amongst the best in the division.
I don't know if you're aware because you've been focused on camp, but Michael Venom Page in Bellator is a free agent. And a lot of people view your fight with Steven, like they want the winner of this fight to be his first fight in the UFC if he does sign with the UFC. I'm curious if you heard this and what do you make of the possibility of him coming over to the UFC?
Eu não sei se você viu, mas o Michael Page está sem contrato e muita gente, você está rindo aí, muita gente fala que você, que é vencedor da luta de vocês, deveria de lutar contra ele. O que você acha com o fato de ele estar aí livre para estar na pista para jogo? Como é que seria isso?
É uma luta a se pensar. Eu ficaria feliz de lutar com ele. Se o UFC me colocasse algumas... Eu ganhando dele, o UFC me desse algumas, né? Tipo no ranking, alguma coisa no ranking. Mas seria uma luta que todo mundo também gostaria de ver, né? Porque eu tenho muita vontade de lutar com um cara com o mesmo estilo com o meu, assim, que gosta de dar show. Porque se eu ver um cara querendo dar show mais do que eu vou querer dar show também. Então seria uma luta muito divertida pro público, né?
It is a fight to think about. Obviously, I would love fighting him if the UFC put me to fight him. Obviously, we would like to know that if something's going to come out of it, so that's going to move me up in the rankings. But I always like to fight guys with the same style as I do, which is actually to put on a show against people. Because I see a guy trying to put on a show more than me, I want to put on a better show. So I think it would be a great fight, and everybody will be really happy about it.
And final one for me, what do you think of the man?
Eu tinha muita vontade de lutar com o Nate Diaz ou com o irmão dele, porque os dois dão muito show, né? Então eu tinha vontade de lutar com eles para me ver o cara fazendo um show e eu fazer mais show ainda, né? Eu tinha essa vontade. Mas aí se aposentaram, saíram do UFC.
I've always wanted to fight Nate Diaz and his brother so much because it's just I wanted to actually have that experience of like them putting on a show. I want to put on a better show, and it'll be great. But I mean, yeah, they retired from the UFC, so.
Well, speaking of a show, what do you think of the main event between Justin and Dustin? Who do you think wins?
E falando sobre o show, o que você acha do evento principal? Dustin contra Justin, o que você acha que vai acontecer? Quem ganha?
É um lutão, dois atletas tops, gosto muito dos dois. Vai ser uma luta muito difícil e é uma luta muito lá em cá. Então, assim, eu fico indeciso quem vai ser o campeão.
Huge fight, 2 top athletes, 2 guys that can do everything. Because of the fact that they're so good, I get a little indecisive about that. I don't know who's gonna get that.
Well, Alex, let's start there. I mean, chugging a can of water on fight week. I mean, can you put into words just how much better a fight week is at 205 pounds?
Bom, vamos começar por aí, né? Você já aí dando uma golada nessa latinha de água na semana da luta, né? Fala pra gente aí como é saborosa a semana da luta, lutando na categoria mais pesada, no 205.
Pô, muito bom. A gente esperou por isso, né? Muito por isso. Desde a minha última luta, eu falei, pô, quero lutar mais tranquilo agora, né? Preciso de um descanso e não que eu esteja descansando agora, mas para mim tá bem mais tranquilo, né? Porque pô, a gente sabe que perca de peso, né? Para quem já fez isso, sabe que é bem complicado.
Now, we were expecting this since the last fight. I told him that I need a little bit of a break, need to relax a little bit, make more about the fight. You know, not that I cannot make the other weight class anymore, but just it feels good to just have a little break.
You know, the loss in Miami, I know, was very frustrating for you, but was there any talk of taking more of a break? I mean, this is a pretty quick turnaround, just a little more than 3 months later.
Bom, claro que a derrota em Miami é um negócio muito duro e passou pela sua cabeça, teve alguma conversa de tirar um break maior, né, dar um tempo maior antes de lutar, porque parece que está voltando rápido.
Não, acho que estou num tempo correto, né, porque cada corpo reage de uma forma, né, o meu estou sentindo que eu estou muito bem, mesmo depois da luta, para quem acompanhou, né, viu ali eu saindo do octógono e indo pro vestiário e falando, tudo certo ali, tudo tranquilo, então já deu para ver que eu estava bem ali, eu só precisava de um tempo para me recuperar, foi isso que eu fiz, estou voltando e vou lutar.
Well, everybody's bodies act different, right? So in my case, you can see, I feel that it was the right time. I didn't need too much of a break. I just needed a rest so I could recover from the fight a little bit. If you see on my past fight what happened, but the way that I walk in the locker room, the way that I was talking, you guys could tell that it was not that bad. So I think it's the right moment.
Nice. So you make the move to 205, Jan Blachowicz as an opponent. What do you think about him? Is there anything that he presents to you that maybe your opponents at 185 didn't?
Bom, agora vai lutar no meio pesado com o Jan Blachowicz. Tem algo que você acha que ele pode trazer que os pesos médios não trariam para você?
Bom, eu acho que assim, ele é um cara completo, um cara forte, né? Um cara experiente, é o ex-campeão, né, cara? É o ex-campeão, a gente tá falando do ex-campeão. Então é um cara perigoso, mas eu treinei muito para essa luta. A gente tem a nossa estratégia também e aí, bora pra briga.
Well, we talk about Jan Blachowicz, former champion. He's a strong guy. He's a complete fighter, you know. But I trained super hard for this fight. We have our strategy, so let's go.
Nice. Last thing for me, obviously it's a little bit chaotic at the top of the 205-pound division right now. Are you looking at this as a #1 contender fight, and do you believe you should fight for the title with a win?
Bom, a situação, né, no meio pesado também é caótica em termos de cinturão. Você tá já vendo essa luta aí como uma oportunidade para lutar pelo cinturão?
Com certeza, isso está tudo dentro dos planos. Desde quando eu fiz minha última luta, no vestiário ali mesmo, meus empresários já veio falando, veio me dando nomes e, o Jan Blachowicz não é uma surpresa para mim, não é algo que, me deram e eu fui obrigado a aceitar, foi tudo planejado, então isso é o mais importante, é fazer as coisas certas para as coisas acontecer certo.
No, everything's been according to the plan, you know what I mean? Since my last fight in the locker room, we already start talking about what's going to happen, what's not happen. You know what I mean? It's not the organization also forced me to fight Blachowicz. We just took the fight we thought was a good fight. You know what I mean? Everything happens naturally.
Alex, in front right here. When Jamal gave the belts up, there was a lot of talk that maybe they would make this a vacant title fight. Was that ever in conversation, or were you just planning 3 rounds and didn't want to change anything?
Quando o Jamal se machucou, começou os boatos de que isso talvez seria uma luta pelo cinturão. Chegaram até essa conversa com você ou foi sempre pensando nos 3 rounds?
Não teve essa conversa, mas eu vi o que tinha acontecido, né? Mas eu fiquei atento porque seria uma oportunidade também, né? Sou aquele cara que estou sempre treinando duro, né? E se isso acontecesse, se tivesse essa oportunidade, com certeza eu iria aceitar, né? Porque, eu tenho 36 anos de idade já, né? Então, já não sou mais um garoto.
Well, no, nobody had this conversation, but at the same time, if he did have, I was, I kept my eyes on it, I was ready. I'm 36 years old, it's not that I have too much time to wait.
In the past, Jan has obviously fought a lot of middleweights that have tried to test themselves at light heavyweight, like Jacare, Rockhold, and Israel. I'm curious, do you think they maybe underestimated him and didn't put on enough size, or why do you think these middleweights that come up don't have success specifically against Jan Blachowicz?
Bom, no passado já teve outros médicos que tentaram a sorte com o Jan Blachowicz, né? Por exemplo, o Luke Rockhold, o Jacare, o Adesanya. E talvez você ache que eles subestimaram um pouco com ele, talvez não vieram muito grande para lutar com ele. Por que você acha que eles não tiveram sucesso?
Não, eu acho que foi algo normal que aconteceu. Eu acho, vamos supor, se 4 pessoas ou 5 pessoas tentaram subir, né, para lutar com o Ian e ele, fez os caras voltar para a categoria, foram 4 lutas que ele ganhou, né? E isso poderia acontecer numa luta comum, não os caras subindo, né? Uma luta comum, que ele ganhou 4 lutas seguidas.
Nah, I think it's just, I'm not gonna say coincidence, but it's just natural course. You know what I mean? He beat those guys, but you know what I mean. Regardless the weight class, it's just like he won 3, 4 fights.
Algumas pessoas colocam como tipo uma superstição, né? Mas eu não acredito nisso, né? Eu, tô treinando bem, tô bem, e vou fazer o que eu tô fazendo nos treinos e vai dar certo.
Some people put that as superstition, but that doesn't happen with me. You know what I mean? I feel good. I'm training hard, and I'm going to put in the work that I'm training.
How do you think a fight between Israel and Dricus du Plessis will go?
Como é que você acha que a luta entre o Israel Adesanya e o Duplessis vai ser?
Ali, sinceramente, não tem jogo ali pro Duplessis, não. O Adesanya, é muito superior. Acho que em todas as questões ali, né, tecnicamente, é uma luta aí que para mim não faz muito sentido.
Honestly, man, I don't know if it's maybe too much for Dricus du Plessis because, you know, Adesanya is way superior. And looking at this fight overall is a fight that not even make too much sense for me.
Alex, you recently trained with Sean Strickland. Is he as insane as everyone says?
Você recentemente treinou com o Sean Strickland. Ele é louco mesmo assim, como o pessoal fala?
Acho que não. Ele é um cara normal. Acho que cada um tem um jeito, né, para estar vendendo ali, né? E, ele faz daquela forma e dá certo e, é uma parada maneira. Fala muito palavrão, né, mas na academia lá, respeitou todo mundo. É assim, cara. Se você tá num lugar que a vibe daquele jeito ali, o cara entra no embalo e, sai xingando, sai falando em treino. Lá o treino é sério, entendeu? Ninguém chega ali, na academia do Globo, ele sai xingando ou falando besteira, entendeu? Porque ali é família, entendeu? Tem criança, às vezes, tem mulher, não tem essa, entendeu? E não precisou falar nada para ele. Ele vê isso e se comporta de uma boa forma.
No, he's actually a very nice guy, you know what I mean? Swears a lot, but nice guy. And no, maybe he do that for the cameras, but he came to Glover's gym, you know what I mean? Nice guy, humble guy. And also the atmosphere there, man, his families. It's a family gym, have kids. All types of people there, so the guy got to adapt to the vibe, not the vibe adapt to the guy. So nobody had to get his attention, anything like that. He just blending very good.
You mentioned the swearing. I'm assuming you didn't try and learn English from Sean Strickland.
Fala muito palavrão. Você fala muito palavrão, então, mas acredito que você então não tentou aprender inglês com Sean Strickland.
Não tentei, não. Não tentei outra coisa.
Learning English Sean Strickland is not a good future, but the techniques, yes, for sure. Okay. He was able to show some stuff.
How does the fight between him and Israel go?
Como é que você acha que vai a luta dele e do Israel?
Bom, luta dura pro Sean Strickland, né? Mas, eu mostrei, né, algumas vezes já, para todos que, dá para ganhar do Israel, né? Claro, são estilos diferentes, mas o Sean Strickland vem mostrando aí muita evolução, né? Fazendo lutas duras. Teve uma luta aí que ele fez, né? Se fazer as coisas certas, eu acho que tem chance. Um pouco difícil, mas é a pessoa que...
Just say he showed that he can be beaten. He beat him, right? So Sean Strickland, he have a chance. You know what I mean? Different game plans is hard, but if anybody have a chance against Adesanya, that will be Sean Strickland, but still a hard fight.
So do you think Sean has a better chance of beating Israel than Dricus?
Você acha que o Strickland tem mais chance de ganhar do Adesanya do que o Duplessis?
100%. Não, 100%. O Sean Strickland vem mostrando aí. 100%.
No, 100%. Sean Strickland put in the work he showed.
Hey, Alex. Now that you've moved to light heavyweight, how much weight were you cutting to get down to middleweight, and just how hard were those last couple?
Seus últimos cortes do médio.
Foram muito difíceis, né? No início, né? Assim, foi um pouco mais fácil nas primeiras lutas, mas, pô, a gente tá ali, né? Treinando, pô, todos os dias. Igual quando eu vim do kickbox, né? Pô, bem mais magro, então não trabalhava toda a musculatura, né? O grappling, pô, fez eu crescer muito. Então ficou difícil nas últimas lutas, né? Pô, claro que, pô, eu nunca imaginei assim, pô, não vai dar para dar o peso. Não, daria, mas sempre difícil. Agora estou mais tranquilo, comendo bem, pô, mais feliz nos treinos, sabendo que eu posso comer bem. As 4 últimas semanas é um pouco mais complicado, né? Porque eu tenho que dar uma regrada ali na alimentação e isso me deixa um pouquinho mais fraco. Mas agora não, agora eu tô bem.
No, well, the few weight cuts were hard because, you know, when he was a kickboxer, the body was a kickboxer body, but then he started training MMA, naturally gets stronger, the body thickens out, so it was getting harder and harder, but now for him is, you know, he just got to watch his diet on the last few weeks, couple weeks, 4 weeks, but it's much, much nicer.
There was a video of you walking in Walmart and an employee following you. We never really got to see the end of that video. What happened?
Tem um vídeo de você no Walmart e o funcionário te perseguindo lá. A gente não conseguiu ver o final do vídeo. O que aconteceu?
Não, ali, pô, eu sempre tô brincando, né, no meu Instagram. Eu sempre tô brincando, né, e aí eu tava saindo de casa para ir no Walmart, tinha que comprar algumas coisas, e chegou o pessoal da usada, né, para me testar. Só que eu fiz brincando ali, falei, pô, esse cara tá me seguindo, e era o cara da usada, né, nem sei se podia fazer isso, mas já foi. Aí, pô, eu filmei e falei que era um cara me seguindo. Só que aí, pô, a galera começou a falar, tipo, pô, é preconceito, é isso, é aquilo. É legal porque isso acontece muito, né? Mas não foi isso, né? Era o cara da usada que foi me testar e ele teve que ir no Walmart junto comigo, porque senão eu iria me atrasar no meu dia.
Nah, to be honest, that video started as a joke. You know, he pranks a lot, and when he was leaving his house on the day to go to Walmart, actually Usada came to his house. So the guy had to follow him to Walmart. He made that video pranking like had somebody was chasing him at Walmart, but actually was a Usada guy. We know that, you know what I mean, the video kind of went viral and some guys talk about, you know what I mean, for him being Brazilian or whatever, being chased, which is real, but you know what I mean, and it's sad, but at least like that was at least a joke with the Usada guys. He even feel bad. He didn't know if he had joked, but...
And then finally, there was another video of you drowning Glover. What did Glover do to you?
E o vídeo dessa semana você afogando o Glover.
Fez umas maldades aí também, aí eu falei, vou descontar, né? Pô, ele tava por baixo ali e tal, pô, tava mais fácil pra dar uma judiada nele. Eu falei, pô, vou brincar aqui, mas tudo tranquilo.
We were joking.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeff Robbins, President and CEO of the Utah Sports Commission. Welcome back to Utah. It's great to have everybody back here. Hopefully, most of you made it out last year. You had a chance to see the city, get acclimated, and this is somewhat familiar with each of you. So we're obviously thrilled to have 291 back here in Utah. We have tremendous partners. It certainly doesn't happen without great partners. We have a history of large events, hosting large events. Of course, we've had the Olympics here, NBA All-Star Game just a few months back, Ironman World Championships, numerous winter Olympic events that we've held since the Games. I run the Utah Sports Commission, that was a legacy organization created after the 2002 Games, and we've partnered on over 1,000 events now, creating about $3.5 billion in economic impact for the city and the state, and close to that in image building and media value from all the events we've hosted. But we've got, I think, a unique story because of the great partnerships we have. This event wouldn't be here without Ryan Smith, our friends at the Delta Center and the Jazz, who are terrific, and being able to create some partnerships to put a really good story in front of the UFC to come back and also host the first event. So again, we're thrilled that you're here. I'll let you ask some questions if there's some questions, and happy to answer them.
Yeah, I was going to ask, first of all, I mean, obviously 2 UFC pay-per-views in a year, pretty big deal for any city or any state. I guess, what made it a partnership that you were like, hey, let's continue this? And are there future plans already, or is it kind of on a case-by-case basis moving forward?
Well, obviously, I think the UFC had a good experience the first time. If it had not gone well, we probably wouldn't be sitting here if we hadn't had a great experience. So I think we just found it's a great partnership. We've actually known UFC. I think I first met Mark Ratner in 2007 or 8. He used to be a referee, and he would referee football games here up at our football stadium. And we had some relationships going back. We had an event in 2012 that was not successful. We tried to tell Dana and team, Sunday might not be the best night to host one. We were not very successful. And it was moved to San Diego. And then, of course, 2016, we had a fight night, which actually the event back. So we started chatting. I saw Ryan, some things that are really key in this process to bring more events here. There's no question. It's good for our economy. It's good for our image. And I think just a month ago, we have it done. It starts to make more sense to you. One of the questions, right? When we fight and kept in place that are being utilized. We have 3 national governing bodies of sport here. USSA, we've got the USA Climbing entity, and then we've also got the speed skating entity here, working with one other. So when you start, again, understanding how we're wired a little bit, I mean, sometimes we're a little bit of a secret to people, right? But the UFC having the global reach that it does, telling our story for us is really, really valuable in letting people know more about Salt Lake City and Utah. So that's what we hope happens. I think we're doing a better job telling that. And the Olympics coming up, I'm biased, but I think you'll see sometime soon that we probably will get another Games back. So that all goes into convincing people. It's a story we tell, not just because we're telling the story, but because we have some action and results that we can show them, right?
From your perspective, what's the difference when you have, say, a city full of fans that come to visit for the Olympics, the NBA, the Ironman thing, and now you have a city full of fans that want to watch fist fighting?
Oh, I love it. So I'm a big fan. Like I said, we bring Supercross World Championships in. Like I said, Tony Hawk's a dear friend, Travis Pastrana. We were texting back and forth. Shaun White, good friends, Apollo Ono. So when you look at a lot of the relationships and friends that we have, we're in that space. And I think it's great. I like to have some diversity and some different things coming to the state. I kind of get bored easy too. And so this has been really fun to bring to the state and partner with all of our friends. But I think, Red Bull, Rampage, one of the most iconic events in the world down in Southwest Utah. We partner on that. So when you start understanding more what we do, it's really a pretty interesting story to tell. But I love having these guys here. I mean, Tony Hawk, when I was with him 3 weeks ago, skateboarding and the kids and that whole skateboard community, we've embraced that action sports world, and this really is kind of part of that world, right?
Just one from me. When we come here, we always ask the fighters about the elevation and what are they doing to prepare for it. It's kind of a unique twist on their fight week, right? Do you kind of get a little kick out of the Salt Lake City being, it's unique. These guys have to come and it has to have special preparation for them to fight here?
Well, yeah, ask the Supercross riders, right? They've got motorcycles and they've got dirt bikes, and so they're trying to adjust for elevation too. But on the other hand, you'll see a lot of training be done here because, you know, you train high, compete low, right? So I think that makes part of the interesting dynamic here, you know, and it maybe gives a little bit more of a challenge to the athletes. But hey, they're professionals, they're the top in the world. And if that's the level that you're at, I don't care if it's in the NBA, the Utah Jazz, who are dear friends and partners, if it's somebody in the Olympic space, part of what you do is you travel and you compete in different places. I played professional tennis, so I understand that, and so I hope it's a test for them. I hope it's a challenge, and maybe that little bit extra training and a little bit of an extra work that they're putting in to try to, you know, acclimate to that. That's okay. That's, you know, that's what they should do, right?
What can the Utah Sports Commission do to get the liquor laws changed, Ryan? Couldn't buy cold beer at the liquor store last night. It was a little frustrating.
Well, believe it or not, that has changed a lot over the last about 5 years, and I think that's something that it continues to evolve. It's not something that is just sitting there that people haven't noticed that. So I do get that question once in a while, by the way. But just know that's something we're all addressing. The hospitality community is addressing it. The governor. I have the governor on my board with the speaker and the president of the Senate, and then business leaders. We're not a state entity. And they're pretty progressive. I mean, this is a pretty progressive event, right? To put resources and bring into the state. Some of the motocross stuff, some of the things with the tatted the skateboarders and that. So like I said, I think the story is it's a lot more diverse and it's a lot more dynamic than maybe some may think, right? I'm not skirting it, by the way.
It was a far better answer than I deserved. Appreciate it.
Just as a side note, have you heard any rumors or any new developments with the MLB expansion chase here in Utah?
You know, I'm on that collaboration. They have a group of us that are involved, and you know, just keep telling the story. And the interesting thing about the UFC, when you look at the global reach, it helps tell the story, right? All of these major events that we're hosting tell a story for us that we're a great destination for franchise. I mean, we hear NHL talk here, of course, the Olympic stuff, UFC, World Finals and Supercrosses, Ironman. So when you look at all of the success we've had, I mean, over 1,000 events. We had 78 events we partnered on last year, the Sports Commission in the state. So that's more than one a week. That all rolls up to tell the story. So I don't, you know, whether it's NHL, whether it's MLB, it tells a story. Having people like Ryan Smith involved can get in and maybe have a different perspective, which is great. So, so this is just another step in telling our story that also dovetails, whether it's an NHL team, MLB, or other things we're doing. The Olympic world knows UFC. You know, who knows if UFC makes it into the Olympics sometime, right? And so we have some pretty interesting contacts in a lot of different places that maybe dovetail into the UFC more than you might think, you know, on the surface.
Hi.
Hi.
So for the NBA All-Stars, there were certain players that were not too happy with the nightlife in Salt Lake City. How are we making that change for the UFC, and what are those pre-events that are going to make the full fan experience?
Well, you know, and again, it's a lot of this is evolving. It's like the liquor laws that we just spoke about. And I think Salt Lake City, like I said, I don't think some of the events that have come here, NBA, Olympics, other things we're working on, it hasn't been that big of an impediment so far. And like I said, we're embracing diversity. We're embracing all of these different groups. I mean, Tony Hawk, if you talk to him about Salt Lake City and the experiences he's having, a lot of the skateboard athletes and that, you know, that really doesn't come up so much because when athletes come, most of the time they're fighting. Now, the fans may want a different experience, right? But most of the athletes that are fighting in a competition like this, man, they're like when I played professional tennis. You go in, you play, and you don't have a lot of time other than focusing on what you're there to do. We haven't had a lot of people complain about that, but generally speaking, what you're kind of looking for is here. May take a little more looking or becoming more familiar with the place. I mean, a lot of the major cities you go to, you've been to a number of times, so they already know. I think as they come back here and they find out what's here, and again, we've got a very progressive leadership in the state government, people like Ryan, others, you know, and we evolve, and we know we need to evolve in some areas. So we don't just kind of look at it and kind of say, yeah, it's not a big deal. But I think the more you discover Salt Lake City and Utah, the more you will find those kinds of things. But again, if you go to a city for one time, pretty hard, right? Because you guys, well, I don't know if you're here for business. Anybody here for business? I'm just kidding. So I think as you come into a city, you'll start looking at it and saying, you know, all right, there's a place I'd like to go. Hey, that was from last year. But it's all becoming familiar with the locations. I go to Vegas. I got really good friends in Vegas. And, you know, there are places I go and places I don't go, right? It's just becoming familiar with the place you're going. Does that answer your question in a roundabout way? Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys. Have fun.
Change that liquor license, John will become an ambassador.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff Nowitzki. For the UFC, I oversee our anti-doping program, independently administered by USADA. It's widely recognized as the most comprehensive in professional sport. A few years ago, we looked at the program and said it's unfortunate that the news that comes out of anti-doping is generally bad news. It's usually when an athlete tests positive. But if you look at our program, we're approaching now 30,000 individual tests, and with a positive percentage rate of less than 1%. And we said to ourselves, that's the news that we need to get out there, the positive news, because it's overwhelmingly positive. So we started giving recognition and presentations like this for athletes that reached milestones, 25 clean tests, 50 clean tests, they get a jacket. And today with Dustin Poirier, 75 clean tests. I was talking to Dustin earlier. He has now overtaken, of active UFC fighters, the most successful tests. Since Amanda Nunes retired, she was ahead of him, and now it's Dustin Poirier in the lead. And I usually tell a quick story to personalize these presentations, and Dustin's is the best story that I have, bar none. I told this story when he got his 50 jacket, but was in the locker room kind of in front of family and friends. But Dustin had just defeated Conor McGregor. It was the night of the fight. I was home in Las Vegas, and my phone rings, and I look, and it's Dustin Poirier, and I say, it's 4 hours after he just beat Conor. Must be a butt dial or something. So pick it up, and hey, Dustin, what's up? He goes, hey, Jeff. He goes, USADA collected a sample from me today at the fight, and I forgot to declare one supplement I was using. Completely benign supplement. I think it was tested and certified. But that's the level of attention and care and detail that this guy, makes to be successful under this program. The biggest win of his career, one of the biggest wins in the history of the UFC, and he's calling me 4 hours later to report one single supplement that he forgot to declare. So Dustin, man, we appreciate it so much. That's why you're at the top of the list, that attention to detail, and I'm positive it has a lot to do with why you're successful as an athlete overall, that attention to detail. It's much appreciated within the UFC. So your 75 pin here. Put on your jacket. Beautiful. There you go, my man. Appreciate it. And thank you for everything you do, buddy. Appreciate you guys. All right.
So there was a lot to talk about with the fight, but I did want to ask you just about this moment. I mean, what does that mean to you to be not only am I at the top of the sport, but I'm also, at the top of the list of clean tests?
I mean, it's cool to have. It's cool to set an example, I guess. I've never done any performance-enhancing drugs in my life, and lucky for me, like coming up earlier in the gyms I was in as a young fighter, it wasn't around me, so I never got introduced to that type of stuff. So it was never a part of my, surroundings, and it's all good. It's cool to be recognized for not doing steroids.
All right. Now let's talk about the fight. I mean, I don't even know how many years. It's been nothing but big fight after big fight after big fight. Is there still, I know you said you do this because you get that excitement, you get that fear, but like fight week, is there still that nerves? Is there still that excitement? Or at this point, is this is just who I am and what I do?
A little bit of both. This is who I am and what I do. I mean, walking this walk, coming in here, talking to you guys, checking in with the UFC. This might be like the 30th time I've done it. And it's just part of the process. It feels normal to me, but what never goes away is those feelings and that anxiety all week, prepping, thinking about the fight when I lay down at night. That never goes away. That's always there, man.
Yeah. I've heard you say a few times lately, like, I don't have to fight anymore. Like, my family's good. Knowing that, has the family ever said, hey, Dustin, you don't have to fight anymore. Could you please not?
Yeah, my mom told me that after the second fight in Abu Dhabi. She was like, I think it's enough, you've done it enough. But this is what I do, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Talk about prepping for this fight. Like I said, it's been nothing but big fights, right? But a fight that is going to be a battle, that you had before and was a battle, right? I mean, is there a different mentality or a different approach knowing, like, I'm probably not going to get out of there and get out in 5 minutes. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah, when they called me, because we were talking about doing this fight, a few months ago when they first called me and started talking about Justin potentially being the opponent, those butterflies, that anxiety, that hit me right away, and I was like, we got to do this. This is the one. And it was 5 years ago I beat him. He's done great things. I've done great things. And we were just on a collision course, it seemed, to do it again. Number 2, number 3, number 1's fighting the champ. So it just makes sense, I think, in the division as well.
Would be a huge fight without a title on it, regardless, because of who you guys are. But the BMF title, like,
that was thrown on kind of last minute. Like when we first started talking about the fight, that wasn't brought up.
Yeah. Is that fun at all? I mean, did you care? Or what does that mean to you?
It's cool. It's cool. It's a legacy fight. That's what my wife told me. She said this about legacy. Put this BMF belt up on my mantle. When I'm gone from the sport, I can talk back about, the second BMF in UFC history fight. And it's just, it's history, it's legacy, it's fun. But even to have your name in the hat to be considered for a fight like this is a special thing,
Last thing for me, I mean, I think at this point in your career, it doesn't really matter what stakes you're fighting for. People are going to want to tune in and watch you fight, right? But that in mind, I mean, that title, like, is that still what's top of mind? And are you viewing this as, hey, number 1 contender fight, I fight the winner of October?
Yeah, I haven't been told directly that the winner is fighting for the belt, but I assume that. But, I say this every time I sit up here in front of you guys. I don't want to look forward that far because Saturday needs to happen. And it's a crazy thing we do, but the plan is to get my hand raised, and then when the smoke clears, we'll assess the next fight and where the division's at and what happens in Abu Dhabi and all. It's just so much things that need to happen and that are going on that is just noise until Saturday happens. So I'm fully focused on 25 minutes with Justin, and it's wartime, man.
Dustin, when you left the arena last time after fighting Justin, did part of you think, I'm going to have to fight this guy again? That fight was too good and the fans are going to want to see it?
No, it didn't. I actually sat next to Justin at one of the pay-per-views in Vegas, and we were, talking, chopping it up, and I told him, I was like, dude, I don't want to do that again. I told him that. I was like, I don't want to do that again, and here we are about to throw hands. But I honestly, throughout the 5 years since the first fight, I didn't see it coming.
You mentioned those pre-fight anxieties, right? And fight week, that's always going to be there. But knowing what you went through the last time and knowing what's waiting for you on Saturday, is it almost worse? Is this fight week like, oh God, okay, Saturday is really going to be a rough one, or are you just, hey, it's a fight, I get in there, I do what I do?
Both. Like, I trust myself to make a way through the roughness, but it's gonna get rough, you know. Like I said before, adversity will present itself in this fight, but I trust myself to get off the stool, keep myself safe, find the openings, you know, pick my shots. I've matured a lot in this sport, and I think you're gonna see it Saturday.
This time we're a bit higher up in the air. Did you do anything special to prepare for the elevation?
I had a company called Higher Peak Altitude Training come in and send me a tent and a machine that you can sleep at altitude. So I did the last 2 weeks at 5,000 feet in South Florida, and came out here Friday morning. And my house I'm at here is an Airbnb. It's like 5,100 feet, so I'm about 1,000 feet or so above where we're gonna fight. And I hope that's enough, but I don't get tired, man. 5,000 feet ain't enough.
Justin Poirier. Is there? I asked Dustin this too because he's only had one rematch in his entire career. You've had a few and you've won them all. Is there any difference in preparation, not specifically for Justin, but just rematches in general leading into a fight compared to when you're fighting a fresh face?
It depends how long. Well, this is my opinion, obviously, but it depends how long they are between each other. Me and Justin fought 5 years ago, so this is I'm win about this like it's a new fight. You know, I'm not gonna break down the footage and dwell on that too much because we both changed so much and had our successes and our losses and, you know, changed things and just got better in the sport. We didn't waste 5 years. We're both better fighters now. Other fights, like the Eddie Alvarez fight, was a lot closer together. So we did go back and watch a lot of things he did. The Max Holloway fight was a long time between as well. So I try to look at it as a brand new fight.
Earlier today, Justin was on, I think it was like Pardon the Interruption or something like that, and he said that he knows you're ready and he's ready, but I think his words were, I think our families are terrified for this rematch. So when you told your family, like, I'm going to have to go rematch Justin Gaethje, what did they say?
Well, my wife kind of knew, you know, like whenever I told her, she kind of knew, but it's an unsaid agreement. It's an unwritten agreement, you know. She knows when I go into that zone and she knows what this is, and especially a fight like this. Everyone knows, not even family. People at home who follow the sport knows what this is, and I want to go there. I think that's where I do my best work, and the fact that like the fans and Justin, he doesn't like go out of his way to portray that, but he's kind of got that aura about him now as the chaos and the most violent and all that. But I really am that, and he knows that. So let's go there.
We asked Justin this too because Jorge is probably going to wrap the belt around the winner, and he said to him that makes it a little more sweeter knowing that he's taking it away from ATT. Does it make it a little more sweeter knowing that you're going to be fighting to keep it at ATT?
Yeah, you know, it's great to keep that title at American Top Team. We're going to put it next to the one George brought to the gym and keep the tradition alive. You know, Masvidal's a buddy of mine, and proud of that guy. The resurgence he had in his career, you know, from backyards to being a superstar, one of the biggest names in the sport, you know, he showed the rest of us that if you just stay the path, keep hustling, keep grinding, good things will happen.
Dustin, right here. When Justin was in here earlier, he said he thinks his best chance of winning this fight is to be more technical than the last one and more technical than you. We know how good your boxing is and how much you embrace the technique. Is that a mistake from him on that mindset? Do you think he needs to turn this into more of a brawl to give himself a chance to win?
Yeah, I do. You know, if he wants to technically kickbox with me and grapple with me, I think his best chances are to catch me being crazy and landing a shot. If he tries to take his time and be methodical, I'm going to show you levels for sure.
And who do you think wins the fight between Islam and Charles when they rematch later this year?
Man, I know I'm 100% sure that Charles didn't show his true potential in that fight. You know, I know from experience that the guy is good. I thought he really underperformed, and we've seen him do that in the past. And everyone, including myself, thought he was past that, and he kind of broke through that, not to say quitting, but broke through those times he stumbles in there and he really found his groove. But in that fight, he kind of looked like the old Charles. It looked like he didn't want to be in there. If he has his mental together, I think he'll give Islam as big of a test as anybody ever has.
Is there a matchup out of those two that you would relish having more? You know, Islam obviously the guy who's had a long winning streak here, but then the chance at revenge against Charles.
Even guys who beat me, man, I've never really, even like Conor or anybody when there's bad blood and stuff, I never really like sit back and think about the revenge. So whoever.
Dustin over here. You are one of the longest tenured title contenders still in the picture, and I'm just curious, what's kind of been the secret to your longevity in your eyes after all these years?
Remaining a student, like not just showing up to do martial arts when a fight camp gets announced or when a fight gets announced, being in the gym back home with young fighters, helping them fight, get ready for fights on the local scene, being part of jiu-jitsu tournaments, doing jiu-jitsu, just being in gyms, being a student of martial arts. And even when I'm not in the gym, I'm watching fights, breaking stuff down. I just love combat sports, and maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. You got the chance to be a desk analyst for UFC 287. What was that like? Was there anything that kind of surprised you about being, behind the desk rather than in front of the people?
It was a different experience for sure. Like, I was nervous on the way there. I was like, I don't want to blow this. This is live TV. There are no redos or edits. But when I showed up to the arena and then it's all the same people I've been dealing with my whole career in the UFC, behind the scenes, I felt right at home.
Yeah. When it comes to these fights, you've talked a lot about leading up to this fight, putting on the war hat and really getting into these barn burner type fights. Did you always love those, or did you have to kind of gain that attribute after years and years of just insane fights over the career?
I mean, like when I first started fighting, definitely didn't look forward to being in wars. I didn't think about it, but I just embraced it over the years. So many crazy fights, and find out when you're in that kind of war, the other person's going through it too, and I just feel like I can suffer more than these guys.
Hey, Dustin. There's this crazy stat, and I was just wondering if you had seen it. Both you and Justin, since your last fight, have a 6-2 record, 4 finishes, two decisions, a win over Chandler. Only losses are to Khabib and Charles. Like, when you hear that, like, is it just kind of like destiny that this fight was supposed to happen?
Yeah, that's what I said. It's a collision course. When looking back at the stats, I think we even have the same amount of letters in our name. It's crazy. It's the battle of the Austins, man.
And finally, your old pal Nate Diaz fights next weekend against Jake Paul. How do you think he does?
Man, dude, Nate does have good boxing, but it's unorthodox, and it works well for MMA, small gloves, pity pad punches, and that range. But with boxing gloves, things are different. Timing's different. Range is a little bit different. And Jake is a big, athletic young kid. If I had to put money on it, I would put it on Jake.
Do you think the size is going to be a big factor? And the narrative is, right, if Jake doesn't knock Nate out, he's going to gas and Nate's going to take over. Like, do you kind of think that narrative's correct?
For sure. I mean, that could happen. It definitely could happen. I've been around both guys. Jake is a lot bigger than Nate, a lot more explosive, has the money and the amenities and to put the best people around him and really lock himself away and work on the art. He hasn't been doing it for that long, but all it takes is one punch from a guy like that, that size.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Dustin, so I know athletes talk about like training and coming to Utah and elevation, but what about like the atmosphere? Have you heard from any of the athletes that have been here already from last year about what to expect coming to Utah, or anything that you were surprised to when you got here?
No, I didn't talk to anybody who fought on the previous card, but it was a few times. I don't really, did a few workouts so far. I don't really feel a whole lot different.
Dustin back here, an impact.
His name's Alden.
Alden, thank you. Yeah, what does it mean for you to have an impact on kids like that and be able to, continue to put out positive energy like that?
I had sent him a video like a year and a half, 2 years ago when he first went in for chemo. And then I'm just oceans. It's about, for sure. My foundation, I'll be handing out backpacks and school supplies and food to families.
Fight him for a long time. And he's saying that this is pretty much like a one and done for him outside the UFC. He wants to be back.
Would you a possibility until other things happen? But if he comes back, I'll beat him up.
And we know your record in the rematch is everything. What's the record in the ping pong this week?
Man, I've been getting whipped. My buddy's down a few $1,000. He's gonna have to take a loan out when he gets home.
one final one for me. Brandon, do you want to fight in Louisiana before you're done?
I fought whenever last time UFC went to New Orleans. I fought at the Smoothie King Center. I'd love to fight there. You know, I fought in the Superdome when I was an amateur fighter back in like 2008, maybe 2007. Everybody knows who Rich Clementi is, right? Oh yeah. He used to have a promotion, and they did a big car show in the Superdome, and he partnered his promotion up with the car show, and we set up a cage in the middle of the Superdome and all the cars, and I fought there, and that was real cool. But anytime fighting on home turf in Louisiana, you know, I'm in. I'd love to go back to New Orleans.
Just want to ask you one quick follow-up. Like, you're one of the biggest stars in the sport right now. You're fighting on the biggest stages, right? But I wonder, it just struck me, like, kid from Lafayette, Fightville, you know, to sleeping in an altitude tent that some tech company is sending to you. You know, are there like small moments like that where you just step back and go, like, man, I never saw any of this happening?
Yeah, when I do look back, like on how since the beginning here, you know, borrowing my mom's car to go to the gym and get beat up, waiting for my wife to get off of work so I can use her car, riding a bicycle to the gym. Man, that's what hard work does, though. You know, it pays off.
What was it like fighting in the Superdome?
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. It wasn't like a crazy big crowd because it was just a car show. Most people were on the floor, but it was cool because we got to warm up in like the football locker rooms, and it's such a big place to get to from the locker room to the cage. We had to jump on a golf cart.
What was that walk like to the cage? Because
I was just telling you, we took a golf cart. It was so far.
So is this just like, hey, I'm just used to going to the big arenas?
It's great before the fight. You know, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, wow, I'm going to be a part of this, you know. Especially this card. This card, just because, I mean, at the end of the night, it's going to be
to give these to you quite often.
You get these guys that are coming in that are good, you know, they are, and I'm a name that they think of. So to me, in a way, it's, you know, not just the new guys coming in.
I like it. What do you think of Gabriel as a fighter? I mean,
he has some with that, you know, get you worried about his boxing and then get a takedown on you, and then he has good transitional submissions. He's quick to grab at him, right? And that's, for the most part, that's when he's getting them.
As you fought at middleweight, they're having quite a bit of...
Like, I mean, right now I'm at 170. I can't really afford to feel like that, right? I mean, I'm getting ready to take another welterweight fight. I know that I did great things in weight and...
with the finishing streak, do you feel like you deserve, I don't know, a rank?
Or somebody. I don't really think it's about what I feel. You know, hopefully the UFC feels that.
Is it dangerous to be undefeated?
It's all about the guy's mentality, you know. It doesn't, you know, because there's, or anybody. I'm interested to see how he performs, but I think it is going to be a great fight.
How do you think his jab is?
It's not better than mine.
So it's going to be my next question.
No way. I mean, we get to fight, you know. I mean, I respect that, you know. That's cool, you know. But no, I highly doubt that. I mean, but I guess we'll find out.
Can I get your thoughts on the main event between Justin and Dustin? Who do you think wins the BMF belt?
Oh, man. I like them both, man. I'm a fan of both the guys. I'll say I'll lean towards Dustin. I think experience always plays a role in fights, especially when situations start getting tough or things aren't going your way. You know, it's not too much of an edge. You know what I mean? I mean, the guys, he's coming in and he's got some adversity.
On your social media, you posted some of your artwork.
Started doing again. I was always interested in that. You know, I shouldn't be eating and I'm hungry and I need to be busy or something. My favorite artists, I don't know the names of any of the artists. I don't know.
Oh, just leave it there.
You feeling now a couple days out?
Man, just how much fun I have with my team. As we all get older, we're all fight week when we all get together and get a
along the way, you're like, man, commentary is kind of fun, and broadcasting, not getting punched in the face sure is nice.
I just had too much left in the tank. You know, the only shadow of doubt I had was, you know, it's no secret I've had back issues. You know, almost had to have back surgery in 2016. Then, you know, the problem resurfaced again. I promised my then fiance, now wife, that after the Sean Brady fight, after I fought Luque, I said, hey, we'll take time to plan the wedding. And then things didn't go my way, and I told her I can't marinate on a loss. I got to get back in there. So I promised her after Sean Brady that I would take time off, and then things panned out that fight. And then I was like, in my head, I'm like, I might have to just sneak one more in. So I started, like, don't get the surgery if you're still going to compete, because after he had the procedure after the Lewis fight, he said he just couldn't train this. Modify my strength conditioning so I wouldn't have any more back issues. And yeah, I feel great, man. It's been a really good camp. I'm really excited to compete again, and it's just good to be back.
When you're in there,
I think you should just not expect the unexpected. You know, you don't know what he's going to do. But I mean, he's a game competitor. He's been on my radar for a long time. He's been on my radar probably.
Are you there, like, what is
bad? And then I don't want to nerd of a wrestler here in the U.S.
I mean, in your career, I mean, look, are there calls?
Always had
any sort of relationship with Kevin?
I could tell. Mentally, I was having myself trying to give him a weird look, but fit for him. I think anybody could guess in this room. But you know, I have respect for him. Earlier, on live, start having full fair. But you know, he does. You confidence, and I have a nice white John Stockton. It's yeah. I've always been a Stockton fan. You know, I have family. We're just Anheuser-Busch distributor in Spokane, and it's ran by the Stockton family, owned by the Rusnicks, but ran by the Stockton family. So I've worked for the Stocktons. The Stocktons did.
Well, welcome to Salt Lake City. Also, one of your teammates, Mitch Ramirez.
Yeah. I want to talk about Bilal Muhammad, the guy that's got numerous rings. And so my prediction for
you know who I am, what I do. A personal story with you for the Super Bowl. And John sitting at the end of the bar by himself. He had a broken arm, poor. So we had a good, you know, I think hour-long talk about our Polish heritage. And then he starts talking about, you know, about his career. And he says to me, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. UFC, you need to have that level of confidence. But man, here's a guy who absolutely called his shot, you know, several years later. And when he did call, significant for Jan on a couple of angles. Number one, this is a global program. We have athletes all over the world, and I think early on people questioned, because the United States Anti-Doping Agency is administering this, are the U.S. athletes going to get tested more? And I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago, you saw it put out too, and maybe more importantly for Jan, anytime I think these days in sports where you see a career athletic resurgence in their mid to late 30s, even into 40, as Jan is now, you begin to question it. Because generally, you know, your scope of athletic performance, at least those questions to bed with Jan. You can't survive in this program now going on its 9th year, subject to on his own will, on his own hard work, and what he was born here.
Comment on it, what it means to you to be recognized as a clean athlete.
What does it mean to me? I'm just proud that whatever I done in my life, in my sport career, I did it thanks to hard work. Wasn't shortcut, no cheating.
You do continue to put yourself into big fights, right? I mean, I know December was incredibly disappointing. It's just such a weird result. I mean, were you able to move past that? Has it been easy to put that in the rearview mirror, or has it kind of lingered with you a little?
No. Of course, after a couple of weeks after the fight, I think about this, but I don't think about this anymore. New experience, new lesson for me. Now it's new chapter, new story, and I'm happy, motivated to do this again, and this time, finish fight before time.
A fresh opponent here in Alex Pereira. I guess how much of his career were you watching, not being in your division, and what did you think of him as a fighter?
Great fighter, great sportsman, knockout punch. When I heard just that he say he want to go to 205, I talked with my manager. Said, I want to check my stand-up against him and try to knock him out. But if something goes wrong in stand-up, I can use my wrestling and take him down, finish him on the ground. This is what I want to do, win the fight.
You complimented his power, which obviously at middleweight was insane, but you fought other guys that have moved up in the. Do you
He's got knockout punch power, even in my division, so I have to be careful. So that's going to be a good matchup to watch.
Last thing for me, it's a little bit of chaos at the top of the division right now, right? I mean, are you considering this a number?
Next fight will be for the title, so nothing changed. Okay, Jamal Hill he left the belt. I wish him very fast recovery, but my next opponent will be, I don't know, maybe Prohaska, and we're going to fight for the title, so we will see. But now I focus only about Saturday. I don't want to think about that. After the fight, we can talk about next step. They say no, it stay like this.
Why do you think
in UFC to to send them back to the lower division? I don't know, but I'm okay with that.
Is the avenging that previous loss to Glover, considering Glover will be in his corner?
But they train together. They are one of my best titles. I think
BMF title.
Later, go to green room, grab beer, and watch.
Career. Where do you think Alex stands amongst those of Luke Rockhold, Israel Adesanya, and Glover Teixeira?
I don't know. For sure, he's one of the toughest, opponents. I don't know. I will tell you after the fight.
Looks like you've embraced your cowboy roots. How are you enjoying being a cowboy?
I was, just happy. I was happy like a little kid. So I've got my whole outfit. Maybe I'll wear it someday, somewhere.
Fight each other when he was still at light heavyweight. What were your thoughts on his debut at heavyweight?
Yeah, this debut was amazing. A little bit fast to me because what debut was just amazing. He just go there and do what he.
Oh man, Well, Tony, back again. Another big fight, of course, that everybody's looking forward to. I guess what's the energy? It seems pretty upbeat right now. What's the energy for you ahead of this?
But leg day. But I wanted to scout him. I wanted to see how well
this.
Real with you guys. Nate was hard to take fucking serious. It was almost like I didn't want to lose, but I'm gonna be real. Like, here, take your fucking victory, get the fuck out of here, and go make some res, remodel my house. I'm trying to figure out, and I'm making machines. It's funny. So
entertaining style. I mean, what are you expecting? The way you guys match up, it seems like it could be a pretty wild fight in there.
I think he's a confused individual. Father's Day. And it said, maybe Bobby Green. I already knew it. I already had his contact. Say what's up. And even after his Landon Venata fight, he comes back and he was smiling. I gave him, hey, good job, you know, kind of like that when I was about ready to go walk out of mine. Hey, yo, this is your opponent. I already knew. Mr. Flashy. It's cool. It's his thing. It's your key. I get you. But when he saw me, he looked like different when you have to demand presence. But I don't really demand presence, but everybody gets fucking quiet when I walk into a room.
Sacrifices made.
You got to realize, I've been competing in sports for 30, could have been baseball, could have been football, could have went on. Full pandemic for me to lose my 12-fight win streak. Not angry at it, but I had to fire some coaches. I had to fire some people because I was trying to get them back, and they weren't good for me. It was toxic. It was toxic to me, and I didn't realize it. How much, deadly, this. No, it's the kind of moment and mentality this weekend.
Or anything.
Well, the business, if I'm, it went, right? My homework from HBS, Harvard, and his apprentice, sport that you can't hate on it, but I was supposed to have it anyway. But that's the behind-the-scenes stuff because when you're clutch like me,
he said,
I want to be real with you guys. And I got up and I did my interview and I was like, I hit the pads and I'm fucking sharp. I'm real sharp. Bro.
So the level of competition, it's only going to be.
You counted all of my wins.
I mean, you're still number 7 in the division, right? And you said you're 40. I mean, still got time, but probably sooner rather than later if we're going to get up there to the top, right? So you win here. I mean, you're not really the calling out type guy, but do you start having to do that, like really call the shots of what I need to get next because, hey, I've only got so much left to go?
Yeah, man. I mean, with a good win over Michel Pereira, I feel like they should give me somebody that's ranked above me and then go from there. I mean, Leon Edwards, the last few guys that have been grapplers, really probably want another striker to go against again. So instead of a wrestler. So come on, baby, let's go.
Michel was in here, said he didn't bring anyone specific to prepare to fight you. Did you bring anyone specific to prepare for Michel, considering he is a very unorthodox?
You see, and
what are your thoughts on the main event between Dustin and Justin? Who do you think wins the BMF title?
Dude, like, I mean, as well. Gaethje, he's very done as these guys start to fatigue a little bit, and he's. Against somebody as deadly as his opponent on a 2 weeks notice and having to cut like 25 pounds or 30 pounds and backlash on social media. But who doesn't, right? When they first, I remember when I first got the UFC call, everybody was bashing me. And thank goodness the social media was go out there and do your thing, but give it your all, right? Go out there and give it your all. He had a deep knee bar on the guy, which was pretty quick. Didn't hold on to it, but super happy for him, man.
We saw on Embedded you were over at Agema. That's one of the top schools in the entire state. It has brought out a ton of different champions within the state itself.
The class is going on. Very, very knowledgeable. It's got some really tough guys in there. If you're local and you're looking for an MMA school, that is definitely the place to go. Dane is amazing. He's a former, obviously fought previously, very knowledgeable when it comes to the jiu-jitsu and striking. So it was awesome, and they made us feel welcome and felt at home. So that's why it fit well for us.
You started your competitive career back in 1999, February 1999, so 24 years. Over the course of that time, where have you seen the technicalities of striking or just combat at large change over that time?
Oh, man. Back in those days, it was a lot more like Dutch kickboxing-ish, You still see a lot of that. It's dominated by that style.
And who do you...
In the garage and separate from the house. Taking my breakers